Hello and welcome to the 9th part of our e-lecture series International Project Management, brought to you by Lübeck University of Applied Sciences in cooperation with On Campus. In this part we are discussing the execution phase of a project. We already talked about the product or project life cycle, which is similar, therefore I said product life cycle, which is similar to a product. A project also has different kind of life cycle and stages within the life cycle. So we talked already about the development phase, idea generation. We talked about the planning phase, where you set up the milestones for the different phases and the work breakdown structure and flow charts, etc., and critical path analysis. And now we come to the execution phase. And what is important in the execution phase? What are the main tasks? So the realization of the planned project deliverables takes place in this phase. So the different kind of tasks and deliverables that have been set up in the work package descriptions are now to be executed and implemented. So the individual packages need to be processed during this kind of phase. And what is very important is that the responsibilities that have been set up in the project organization are adhered to. So the project manager has to ensure that the entire team, the entire project team, is on the right track with respect to the target achievement. And you can do that, or it is done, by comparing, we are looking at different kind of tasks and deliverables, and every task has an is and to be status. And you're comparing those, and you're comparing the costs, so the actual cost and the target costs. And there you need to manage all potential deviations as a project manager. And this is the prime responsibility in this phase. This also includes the regular observation and presentation of the project progress towards the project sponsor, as well as to the project steering board that has been set up. So the main activities are as follows. So you have to select and manage the team appropriately. That is the first aspect. So you have to motivate them on a constant basis towards their goal and towards the greater goal of the respective project. You need to select any potential suppliers if you need external support, for example. For example, if you need external lawyers for a certain kind of documentation. And what is always very important and crucial is communication. So, like I said, you need to motivate. Communication involves the motivation of the project team members, as well as the motivation and communication of the project progress towards the project sponsor, as well as to the steering board. Project controlling and management, we talked about that. You have to report the status, we talked about that. And this will make sure that the quality that has been aspired is achieved. A very important aspect as well is risk management. We touch base upon this later on. And change management, this is closely related to communication. Like said before, when we talked about the definition of a project, every project involves change. And it is crucial to manage this change in an adequate manner. And you can only do so via communication. So if, for example, you implement some new kind of IT system, it is not only sufficient to implement it actually physically or technically, to have it on the system, on the servers, on the computers, but to have people working with it. And in order to do so, you have to eventually change also their work processes and work patterns. And in order to do that, you have to ensure that they change the way they work. Because there's always change affected via a project. A very useful tool in this respect of the execution phase is what we call communication matrix. Because stakeholders can be quite complex. There can be many stakeholders, internally and externally. So even a medium-sized project can involve up to 100 stakeholders. And in order to not to lose overview and to manage communication in a sophisticated way, it is crucial, or it makes a lot of sense, to have a matrix which shows which kind of information, you can see it on the slide, so which kind of information in the first column, such as the status report, you're sharing with which kind of stakeholders, which kind of recipients, who's responsible for the creation of this kind of report or information, and which is the frequency of the sharing of the information. And what is the appropriate or adequate deadline for that? If you do, it looks a bit, of course, cumbersome and over detailed, but if you don't do that, it is very difficult to tackle communication or to steer communication and communication flow in a very sophisticated and appealing way. So it is proven to be very helpful in real life when it comes to projects, not in theory, but in real international project management, to have a communication matrix to keep an overview of the different kind of communication processes. Project controlling, I quickly touched base upon that already. This involves that you compare the as-is status, so the current status of the project, each deliverable with the to-be status of the deliverable or the project in general, so certain kind of milestones. So this can only work, so the prerequisite or the foundation of this is that you have a functioning reporting system in place of the entire project, and you have clear responsibilities. So everybody knows what to do and knows his or her responsibilities. So the requirements of sophisticated project controlling are as follows. You have to specify who reports to whom. So which kind of project team member is reporting to you in terms of sub-projects, in terms of work packages. And also you have to state in which intervals these reports are going to take place. So also in which kind of frequency are you informing the project sponsor about the project progress, as well as the steering board. And which kind of data do you need? That is a very, very difficult question to answer. Why is that? Because this data question is crucial, because you need to decide, for example, which is the level of detail you're giving to the steering board members. If you're talking to steering board members, they are more interested in an overview of the project progress. So they are more interested in how far are we when it comes to milestone achievement. They don't want to know whether you have some kind of issues with minor, deliverables, and this is not so much of an importance to them unless the milestones are threatened to be achieved. If you talk to the project sponsor, by definition, you can go into more detail. So they are more interested in the details, so in the different kind of deliverables and what is the status. So, and you also need to determine how is the data being processed. So who's going to set up the appropriate report? It has to be specified as well. So project controlling is a lot of work, a lot of considerations being involved. Always pay attention to whom you're talking. This is a nice overview about the project reporting. So you, on the one hand side, you report, like said, to the steering board or the client, and you report to the internal team as well, because you want to give everybody being involved a very good overview as well, even if a project member is only responsible for a certain kind of packaging, work packaging. And of course, you need to report as well to the project sponsor. And in addition to that, you also have this external reporting, because, for example, if you have a project that involves public stakeholders, local authorities, politicians, or lobby groups, Greenpeace or environmental organizations, whoever shall be involved, you need to also keep them informed. So that is the overview of project reporting. So communication is a great amount of time you need to invest into. Project risk management. We talked about that at the very beginning. When you set up the project, you need to determine which are the potential risks and that might occur. What is the likelihood of a risk to occur? And also, what is the potential damage of each risk being identified? That is done at the beginning of the project. And all too often in real life, when it comes to project management, people forget about that this is not a one-time task, but should be a continuous task. This should be a continuous monitoring, because once you identified your risks and you set them up at the beginning in terms of, or specified them in terms of likelihood, in terms of impact, so potential damage they might do, this is a status, this is a static evaluation. But what is crucial is that you constantly monitor how the likelihood, for example, of certain kind of risks is developing in the framework of the running of the project or the processing of the project. So here in this respect, you see that there is constant change going on here. For example, here there is some movement. Another kind of risk, for example, is eliminated because there was not a severe, there was a minor likelihood of a risk to occur, and suddenly this risk is disappearing because, I don't know, the legal framework potentially changed. So suddenly there is a risk is no longer existent. On the other hand, there may be risks that may not be apparent at the beginning and they suddenly occurred and you didn't take them into consideration at the very start. So what I mean is, risk management is a constant process and you need to carefully always look at the development of each and every risk. The project outcome is then finally handed over with the implementation, right? This is where the product or the project, right, which can be the same, is handed over towards the client, towards the project sponsor. You also hand over documentation, and if applicable, you need to make some adjustments, and you need to introduce people to a new kind of product, to a new kind of, I don't know, IT software, to a new kind of seminar system, whatever the project was. That is the instruction and training phase. So that is the final part here. This was the 9th part, very condensed, very comprised of our e-lecture series, International Project Management. Thanks very much for watching, and we are looking very much forward to seeing you again on this channel for the last 2 parts of our session. Cheers and bye-bye.